Hey, welcome to the show. Would you like to know how sports streaming's done behind the camera or behind the scenes? If you ever wondered, if you had a dream about going behind the scenes of a live streaming sports, whether it be for basketball, volleyball, football, for school teams, would you ever dream about having a behind the scenes look at how it happened? Tonight, you're going to be the first. You're going to see a behind the scenes look at how Flablo students transforming sport streaming via YouTube. And as we're about to show you, you can stream sports, kick back, relax, and eat some popcorn on your phone while you're watching the actual game from your TV. You can actually stream it from your phone and from your TV. Could it really happen? Here's Tony Hallamir.
It's a lot of preparation from everybody involved, and I mean it works like clockwork every single week. But it's just great teamwork all around.
It's really cool how we can just be our do our own thing, because it makes it feel ours. You know what I mean?
These two are just several of the students who make up the Flower Bluff Sports Information Program.
In the end zone, gets it to intercepted. That's a kick on the toss.
The broadcasters are able to make viewing possible for those who may be far.
I think it's really incredible, especially because we're kind of the people behind it.
It's really amazing because it's not just for parents who can't drive out, even for our home games we record for grandparents who are not in court days.
Students have their own responsibilities, but work together for the final outcome.
It's very rewarding. When I do good, the stream does good, people can get their live stream, and they can hear our wonderful commentators and watch the game.
Their most viewed stream this season reached almost 50,000 viewers. What started as a small class has evolved, not only for the class, but also for the community.
Started kind of bare bones, and we've kind of grown into where our community relies on our kids to produce a Friday night football product for them.
A classroom, about 20 kids to 3 classrooms now.
From the commentators to behind the scenes, everyone fits into the puzzle, bringing the game to life.
Whenever I, get that shot, it almost feels like I got the touchdown in a way. It just feels, it's kind of like a rush of adrenaline.
And seeing the players' reaction makes it an unforgettable experience.
Getting to see their reactions on the sidelines, getting to see them do this well, it's really fun, just getting to be a part of it all.
These Hornets just aren't on the airways for football. They cover all sports here at the district. From Flower Bluff, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tony Hadamio, Chris 6 News.
Great point that they brought up. A little piece of the puzzle if you can. So there's no need to raise common sense. They're doing a great job. Even if you're not unschooling. Just earlier, while I was getting ready to leave, I was watching a Dr. Phil primetime episode. Just a small little portion. And it came to me. The word unschooling. What is unschooling? When I heard the word unschooling, I'm like, what the hell? Unschooling is a homeschooling method where children are in charge of their own education, learning to their interests at their own pace. It also encourages the exploration of activities initiated by the children themselves under the belief that the more personal learning it is, the more meaningful, well understood, and therefore useful it is to the child. Children investigating insect deposits in a tree bark is part of the unschooling activity. Well, here's a portion. Here's just a small portion, not the whole portion. Just a little small portion of where Dr. Phil said in this episode. It's called Making the Grade.
Traditional schooling, I would say.
That's where I had to stop.
Back in the day, I received a pretty good public school education. I was well prepared for college and beyond with all the core requirements. In fact, I like to say I know a lot of 50-cent words. I just don't see the need to use them all that often. So do you think the kids in public schools today can 7% perform result since the assessment started in 19 is broken. What do? Well, tonight I put together a look at interesting alternatives to not. But we're not striving. Now, are these perfect solutions? Well, no, of course not. But we're not striving for perfection. We're looking for excellence. We're looking for progress. And they are gaining in popularity. So see what you think as you're watching tonight. First, a movement called unschooling.
Just take a look at this.
If our kids ever come to us and ask us for traditional schooling, I would say no. I don't think they would. I think they're having so much fun. I definitely think the public education system gets it wrong. Kids in desks for 7 hours. It's not natural. Your brain.
Stop the tape. We'll stop right there. 6.5, 7 hours. It doesn't take that long. If your child does not get the best education they can get, that's what can happen to you. When children don't go to school, they're breaking into houses, breaking into cars, doing drugs. They're having sex. Girls are getting pregnant. And then, where's the dad? You have responsibilities. Like, you gotta learn. That's why education exists. Without it, you don't have a good job. You do not have a future. You have to get this, you can get that. We'll talk about more on schooling if we get done with this very special Give Me a Break, which is all going to be about athletic figure skating with two names, Peggy and Dorothy. When we come back, we're going to have for you two of the world's greatest figure skaters in the Olympics, Peggy and Dorothy. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you were to ask a lot of people in the figure skating business from years ago who were the best skaters, two people would come to mind. Peggy and Dorothy. Peggy and Dorothy were both the great names. Peggy Fleming and Dorothy Hamill, two of the greatest figure skaters ever in the Olympics. Well, that all got changed to the White House. And as you're about to hear their stories, think about how you were. Think about how you were when you were trying to do figure skating or when you're trying to do ice hockey, which is very different or very similar. And if you could imagine being in Peggy and Dorothy's shoes, maybe then you could be the next Peggy. Maybe one of your figure skaters could be the next Peggy and the next Dorothy. But could it ever happen to how did those two get to the best figure skating ever when it came to the Olympics? And as you're about to hear their stories, put yourself in their shoes. And maybe then your girls can be the greatest figure skaters ever, like their parents were. Here's Jim McKay. Before we get into this, to call this very special edition to Give Me a Break, it's like a Give Me a Break Friday special all about figure skating. You know, there's one other figure skater which we're going to tell you about coming up soon. That is the story of Katia Gordiera, the greatest figure skater ever. We'll have her interview with Jane Paulette probably come up on a Saturday. But first, let's stick with Peggy and Dorothy. Here's Jim McKay.
With me is Mr. Ted Kennedy, the brother of our president, John F. Kennedy, who has a message for us. Ted?
It's a message from the president, a generous memorial tribute to the brilliant skaters and teachers of skating who lost their lives in Brussels, will help to lay the foundation for a new era of excellence for competitive figure skating in the United States. The losses which were sustained in the Brussels tragedy are irreparable.
On February 15, 1961, Sabena Airlines Flight 548 from New York crashed near Brussels, Belgium. There were no survivors. 18 members of the U.S. figure skating team and 6 coaches perished on their way to the World Championships in Prague. Young and full of promise, they were determined to extend an era of unmatched success. Since 1948, the U.S. had won 6 of the 8 gold medals in Olympic singles events. Remarkably, the 2 best women skaters in this new generation were from one family, Maribel and Laurence Owen, both national champions. Maribel in pairs and Laurence just 16 in singles. They're coached by their mother, 9-time U.S. ladies champion Maribel Vincent Owen. In shock from the catastrophic crash, figure skating canceled the Prague Championships as word of the sudden stunning loss rippled through the skating world, reaching an unknown 12-year-old from California who had learned to skate barely 3 years before.
Well, I first heard about the 61 crash from my mother. She told me before I was going to go to school that day that the plane had crashed and all the skaters were killed. It was a devastating loss for the U.S. skating team to be, wiped out at that level. I not only lost my coach, and I also lost all the role models that I would have had to look up to emulate. And, that was devastating to the U.S.
Experts said it would take more than a decade for America to rebuild its skating program and produce athletes who could again be competitive at the Olympic level.
Well, skating made you feel really almost like a prima ballerina, because you would twirl around, do the twirl test with our skirts, and you see the little skirt ruffling like that in the breeze, and that's like a big music box, and hopefully you don't fall over when you spin around, and it makes you imagine that you're pretty.
I never thought of myself as being beautiful, but when I got on the ice, I felt something inside of me that made me feel real special and strong and pretty and very sensitive. And I think it was a wonderful tool for me at an early age to kind of find myself. I remember growing up on the farm and, the freedom of, running in the hills, because we had like 10 acres. And, I just felt that we had the world there, living off the land, sort of. We had cows and pigs and chickens and rabbits and had a vegetable garden. We made our own butter. We made our ice cream. We did everything.
Doris and Al Fleming, newlywed and ready to raise a family, settled in California's Santa Cruz Mountains. Peggy was the second of their 4 daughters. Doris ran the household, making the children's clothing as the family survived on her husband's modest income. Al, a World War II Marine, shared his passion for sports with his girls, taking Peggy skating for the first time when she was 9.
My dad stayed involved with my skating in the respect of taking me to the skating rinks early in the morning because he worked the night shift. So he would be coming home from work. He was a newspaper pressman, and he would be coming home from work at like 6 a.m. and we would just be getting up, and he, had breakfast with me or whatever, and take me to the skating rink, and then eventually he ended up making the ice, driving the Zamboni and cleaning the ice for me to practice on before school.
The extra work at the rink helped offset the cost of skating lessons, which Al could not afford on his $200 a week salary at the presses. But despite their unsettled finances, he found a way to nurture Peggy's talent as she found herself on the ice.
I remember as a kid, sort of sliding on our rear ends down the hill to the pond and grabbing whatever skates were around course, they were too big, so I stuffed socks in the toes. Even though I couldn't really skate at that point, I just remember loving the feeling of freedom on the ice.
Dorothy Hamill was 7 years old when she first laced up a pair of battered hand-me-down skates, already broken in by her brother Sandy and sister Marcia. She would have to wait nearly a year for a new pair. Plastic skates with red trim that arrived in the Hamills' Riverside, Connecticut home on Christmas morning. As Dorothy's talent emerged, she began to spend more time on the ice, often at the expense of the typical backyard fun enjoyed by the kids around the neighborhood.
And I do remember sort of resenting a little bit having to go to bed very early because I had to get up and go ice skating, and feeling very much like, gosh, I'm not sure I want to do this. You know, I want to be out there playing with them.
Instead, it was in bed by 7, rise and shine by 5. Then the bleary-eyed commute, typically a 2-hour round trip, 5 days a week. A considerable commitment, not just for Dorothy, but also for her mother, Carol. More than once, Dorothy wanted to quit. But in those restless early mornings, it was Mom who persevered.
I remember her saying at 5 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark, and I would be down the hall and I'd hear her say, I paid for the lesson and you are committed to continue until the lessons are not paid for anymore.
I had no idea what it involved. We had to drive quite a distance. Some afternoons we'd go over to Lotor, which was a good hour trip from where we lived, just to get some ice skating time. And she played the music so loud.
My poor mother. She'd hear these songs over and over, and it was day in and day out, and there was no relief.
And it was so loud. And Dorothy fell asleep, and I turned the radio down.
You know, when I think back, it must have just driven her nuts. Gosh, you know, at 4 in the morning. She was pretty patient.
My mother wasn't the image of what her mother wanted her to be. And I think when she saw that little spark of talent in me, it was like, you know, my mother always wanted me to do that, and I think my daughter has that. And she encouraged me and maybe pushed me at times, but sometimes you do need to push a child.
Doris Fleming, as motivating mother and ultimate decision maker, led Peggy to an unexpected national title as a 15-year-old in 1964. And when Peggy finished 6th at the Innsbruck Olympics, she realized for the first time she could compete with the world's best. But to take the next step, she needed to improve her compulsory figures, the precise tracing of patterns on the ice. In those days, 60% of a skater's score. When Doris identified a coach who could help, former European champion Carlo Bassi, the Flemings took a drastic and uncommon step.
Well, Carl and I, we were just flabbergasted that a whole family would pick up from California and come to move to Colorado Springs. But they did that within, I think they decided to come, and in 1 week, Peggy was there, and 2 weeks later, the whole family was there.
They had to find a new home, a new job for Al, and new schools for the girls. Also, Peggy could train with Bassi at the renowned Broadmoor World Arena. One constant remained: Doris's ever watchful eye and steady presence when Peggy was on the ice.
I always would procrastinate about getting out there to the practice session, and my mother would be up there sitting in the stands, and you know, she'd be looking at her watch going, okay, the practice is going to start in 5 minutes, where's Peggy, where's Peggy?
And you could see that Doris was starting to get nervous. after 2 minutes passed, Doris would get up and start to walk to the end of the arena.
And she'd just be getting out of her chair to come back into the dressing room and yell at me to get out there. And I would just come out like 30 seconds before, I was supposed to be out there. And I'd walk out, what, Mom, what, what's the matter?
And it's like Peggy had an antenna in her head or something. Just as Doris would make the corner to go into the locker room, out she came, walk on the ice, very nonchalant like this, start to skate, smile at everybody, and her mother turn around and get back into her chair. It was every day the same thing. It was very funny.
I loved, having everybody look at me, that I was the best one out there on the ice. And I guess that was my early feeling of what competition was about, because I wanted to be the best at every practice session. Even if it was a public session, I wanted everyone to look at me.
As her femininity blossomed on the ice, Peggy inevitably drew the attention of the young men around her. At 17, she began to date Greg Jenkins, a 20-year-old ice dancer who also trained under Fosse. Doris, ever protective of Peggy's career, feared a boyfriend would be nothing more than a distraction. And at the 1966 Worlds in Davos, Switzerland, with Peggy on the verge of her first championship, Doris found her daughter's attention divided.
He was writing letters to me like every day. He was always really good at that. And I remember before the championship, my mother just got so upset with me because I was spending so much time writing these letters. And she saw me sitting at the desk, and she came and she picked up the letter and ripped it up and ripped up all the pictures. She says, "You're wasting too much time on this. You should be focusing on the world championships." And I'm like, "Mother, how could you? How could you do this?" And I'm like, crying my eyes out. But she really did know how to get my attention. And, I really was kind of daydreaming, and maybe she hadn't done that, maybe I wouldn't have had that competitiveness to win that championship.
In just half the time the experts predicted, 5 years after the Brussels tragedy, Peggy Fleming won the first of her 3 straight world titles. The victory meant an unexpected tour through Europe. But having already committed to skate an exhibition in Boston, she briefly left the circuit to fulfill her obligation. Her father made a special cross-country trip, a rare opportunity for Al Fleming to see his daughter perform.
I picked Ave Maria basically because it was one of my father's favorite pieces. He was raised as a Catholic, and he always wanted to have his girls be just pure as the driven snow. So I thought, well, that would be a wonderful number to do as an exhibition number. And my father came to watch that performance, and he was so proud to see me skate, and I was so proud to be able to do that for him.
That was the last time they saw each other. After the show, Peggy rejoined her mother and the tour, which had reached the Soviet Union. Al began the long drive back to Colorado. While in Cleveland, he suffered a heart attack and died. He was 41 years old.
We were ready to board a plane with a big tour group of skaters, and somebody from the embassy came up to my mother and took us aside and told us, and it was just so devastating. And to be in such a public place, it was just, you couldn't go any place private. I didn't cry, really let it all out until I got on the airplane and went in the bathroom and cried by myself. It's still hard. But at least he got to see me skate.
The most exhilarating moment of Peggy's life was shattered by the most devastating. That same month, Dorothy Hamill's father took his 9-year-old daughter to her very first competition.
But how would she do in that competition? When we return, more about Peggy and Dorothy in that competition. And where are these two figure skaters now? Please stay with us. Returning to our story, two figure skaters, Peggy and Dorothy, have just been great figure skaters. One of them is in the competition. While one person skated and the other parent has died. But how would one person do in that competition? But to do that, you gotta have skill, bravery, and reduce stage fright, and know all the tricks of the trade. But for Peggy, that competition would be very helpful to her career. Once again, here's Jim McKay.
It was my very first competition. It was in the springtime. It was probably 70 degrees outside, and the ice was soaking wet. And I was competing against all these little girls that had these perfect little dresses, and they had competed many times before. And I completely felt like an outsider. I knew none of the names of these girls. I just remember being in awe of their beautiful dresses and their music and their choreography, and really feeling sort of like, I was placed into this scene that I didn't, what's wrong with this picture? And it was me.
It was April 1966. Chalmers Hamel took his youngest daughter to the Woolman Open in New York Central Park. And to the surprise of everyone, especially Dorothy, she finished in second place.
I do remember my father, being very proud, and it was the first time I remember him keeping scores and, writing a little notebook. And that was when I really realized that my father was very interested in his little girl.
My dad, he wanted us to just be real simple. No stockings, no makeup, and don't tease your hair and spray it. So everything was just real simple.
Peggy was not allowed to wear makeup, and I had to call her father. Doris wasn't even allowed to give permission for that. I had to call her father at 15, which was young at that age, to just allow a little eyeliner or mascara or something. And I remember standing at the ice rink on the payphone and saying, could we just put a little on?
Bob Paul, master choreographer, had been brought on to polish Peggy's style, complimenting Carlo Passi, the technical perfectionist. Paul took the teenage skater to ballets and operas, exposing her to new forms of beauty and expression, which she readily absorbed and naturally implemented.
I love the movement of dance and that effortless, wispiness of a ballet dancer, and the emotion from the opera. I mean, all of those things really did add to, I think, the overall feeling that I had for my skating.
I saw Peggy skate, and she was thin, she was elegant, she was just, so fluid and so lovely, just delicate. That I was a truck driver. I was not delicate. There's nothing delicate about me. So, while I could look longingly and admire that, I knew that just, don't even think about it,
The more Dorothy practiced, the less self-assured she became. She spent the summer of '66 in Lake Placid, and while preparing for her second competition, she overheard her coach tell her parents that though she was a fine technical skater, she lacked a certain grace.
It was sort of a small step to me realizing that I was going to have to be something other than graceful. I'm just going to have to, jump higher and spin faster and skate faster and with more power than the other girls, because that's what I could do and I was able to do, and that was what I had that they didn't have. And I guess that's when the real competitiveness in me came out.
She was more determined than ever to be the best, and in January 1968, she was exposed to the best.
From the Royal Skating Club of Colorado Springs, Miss Peggy Fleming.
For Christmas, Dorothy's parents gave her tickets to the national championships in Philadelphia, which would determine the Olympic team for the games in Grenoble. Peggy, in perhaps her finest performance, won her 5th straight titles.
When we arrived in Grenoble, she was a celebrity pretty much from the beginning. The French loved her. You know, her refined skating and her refined manner really made people like her from the very beginning.
Though Peggy was an instant celebrity and overwhelming favorite in France, Doris was still determined to give her every edge. While researching the small alpine villages surrounding Grenoble, she found inspiration, a theme for her daughter's Olympic program, right down to the chartreuse green color of her dress.
She had this real deep thought that it would really endear me to the French people if I wore this color, because of this well-known liqueur that was made in chartreuse, France. And so I don't think the audience really got that.
What the audience did get, in France and back home, was that Peggy Fleming was different. Her style and sensuality projecting into America's living rooms, including that of her boyfriend and future husband, Greg Jenkins, whose family bought their first color television set just to watch Peggy skate in Grenoble.
It all seemed to go by, you know, pretty fast and in a nerve-wracking sort of way. I think Peggy called me within an hour or two after she had won. And I guess in a sense it did seem a bit unreal. There my girlfriend was, you know, winning the Olympics.
Peggy Fleming was America's only gold medalist in Grenoble, and in the Pledge of Victory, she didn't realize how completely her life was about to change. She was the perfect star at the right time, a moment when sport, especially the Olympics, was merging with big-time entertainment.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC. This is the dawning of the age of
The mamas and the papas at the Sunset Strip in LA. I loosen my tie and love what it feels like to breathe about.
I'd like you to join me here in my show.
For the first time, an American Olympian stepped out of the games into television stardom, not as an athlete, but as an entertainer. Peggy connected with producer Bob Banner for 4 television specials shot across the globe. This was uncharted territory, and no one knew if it would work.
Hi, I'm Peggy Fleming, and I'd like you to be...
That was my first job. I hadn't even babysat before. I never got paid to do anything except the hour television special when I was 19 years old. It's a big jump, you know, just jump right in, you know, with 2 feet.
Okay, you lead.
In her very first show, Peggy was paired with one of Hollywood's leading entertainers, Gene Kelly.
You know, I haven't done this for 25 years.
25 years? I wasn't even born yet.
Shut up and skate.
Take my heart, I love you.
And ice rinks. I was skating at the MGM studio lots in Hollywood. I mean, I felt like a total movie star. And instead of my mother making my costumes, I had Bob Mackie making my costumes. But my mother was there on every fitting to make sure that nothing was showing too much and that the skirt line was not too high and everything was very conservative. So Bob Mackie even got a taste of what it was like to be around my mother.
Like Doris Fleming, Carol Hamill knew that for her daughter to reach her full potential, she needed a coach to instill discipline and sharpen her compulsory figures. Like Doris, she turned to Carlo Fassi, whose reputation had soared with Peggy's success. The Hamills made the difficult decision to split the family, Dorothy and her mother moving 2,000 miles away from home to train with Fassi in Colorado.
My mother and I fell in love with Carlo immediately. He had the most wonderful sense of humor. He was obviously a genius when it came to teaching school figures, and that was something that I really needed help with.
He was tough on her, and he treated her like one of his own kids. So you have to be strict.
The disciplined approach paid dividends on the ice, including national championships in 1974 and 1975. But as the '76 Olympics approached, the relationship became increasingly strained. The 18-year-old skater chafing under Fassi's exacting program. The old world coach disenchanted by Dorothy's teenage typical mood swings.
Carlo and I were not having the best relationship because I was a teenager and I was a pain in the neck. And he didn't want to, he just didn't need that, And so it was a tough year. I skated at the Nationals and won. So I was thrilled to be the champion. But in my heart, I knew that I really didn't deserve it. I wasn't in the best shape. I hadn't really trained as well as I should have. And it showed in my performance.
Just weeks before the Innsbruck Games, everything was falling apart. Dorothy's always fragile confidence was nearly shattered when Fassi left Colorado to train Britain's John Curry, his hopeful for the men's title.
My mother and I were horrified, thinking, oh gosh, now what do we do? And because it was a bit of a surprise. My mother packed up this apartment that we'd had for 3 years, in 24 hours. And we left Denver. That was it. We were gone. And it was the strangest. It was so strange.
At the time, it was almost unheard of. A top contender for the ladies' gold, suddenly without her coach, so close to the games. The Hamills had little choice but to head back east toward home. Dorothy, wondering all the way if this Olympic opportunity, surely her last, was beginning to slip away.
But would it ever slip away for this one person? Next, one skater's dream would either come true or come to an end. Stay with us. Now the conclusion to our story about Peggy and Dorothy. One of the skaters is about to head home, even though one of the skaters has realized it would come to an end to one of her dreams. Remember, one of the skaters had a gold medal, but when it came down to Peggy or Dorothy, one had to make a choice. Do I make it or do I not? Do I continue or will I not continue? For one of the skaters, it'd be a challenge to where if you walk away, you'd walk away from it all. Here with the conclusion of our story, Jim McKay.
Dorothy Hamill arrived in Innsbruck on the eve of the '76 Games with renewed focus and in the best physical shape of her career. Back home, she had reconnected with one of her former coaches, Peter Burrows. Dorothy was close to a state of panic, but Burrows steadied her nerves and improved her conditioning during intense 5-hour practice sessions. Though newly motivated when she rejoined Fassi across the Atlantic, Dorothy still lacked the confidence of a gold medal favorite. She had never won a world title. To prove that she was the best in the eyes of the judges.
Dorothy Hamill, who is
But once on Olympic ice, her difficulties seemed to melt away, and she held the lead after the short program. Now, on the verge of Olympic gold, Dorothy faced more pressure than ever before and had a day off before the long program to think about it.
My mom said, let's get out of town. Let's go someplace. And being the big fan of Sound of Music, Mom decided that we'd go to Salzburg.
It was a day of relaxation and fun and taking Dorothy's mind off the fact that she had a big job to do the next day.
And I remember going into the church and lighting a candle, and my sister and I were there, and we shared a special little moment. And we both started to cry, and it was great.
The sojourn in Salzburg provided Dorothy with a much-needed reprieve from the stress of competition. But reality awaited her back in the Olympic Village. While she was away, stacks of well-wishing telegrams piled up in her room. And as she opened each one, she found a reminder in print of what was at stake.
I don't know who this is. I'll ask Mom tomorrow. She'll know. Open the second one. I don't remember this person either. Okay, that's the stack. I'll ask Mom tomorrow. Then, oh yes, I know this one. And then after going through, at least 20, realizing that I've never met these people. They're just well-wishers. And at that point, I felt so completely alone and isolated, and sort of the magnitude of, I'm not just competing for me here, I'm competing for my country, even though you know you are, and you feel very proud to represent your country. All of a sudden thinking, oh gosh, these people are all expecting me to win.
On Friday, February 13th, 1976, Dorothy did win the Olympic gold medal, capturing the long program with an array of 5 nines, a unanimous first place on all 9 judges' cards. Back in the States, she discovered, like Peggy Fleming before her, that life would never be the same. Her seemingly simple haircut had become a fashion phenomenon, and she had earned something, a status that could never be lost, and that few could comprehend, except, of course, those who had been there.
I think what the Olympic title gave me was a respect. I could go in any ice show or be on any television show, and people respected me. Not just of how you looked, but what you accomplished. And that feeling of accomplishment has really stayed with me forever. I mean, that never has gone away.
Peggy Fleming's Olympic title was unthinkable when the future of elite figure skating in the U.S. was snuffed out in the frosted fields of Belgium 7 years earlier. Fleming, followed by Dorothy Hamill, re-established figure skating in America and sent it soaring to unprecedented popularity. They were the pioneers of professional skating, which at times was overwhelming for women so young.
Things are so different now that for us, for Peggy and I, it was sort of trial by error. You've led your whole life completely sheltered. Everything was done for me. And all of a sudden you're sort of thrown into this world with, agents and managers and commercials and this and that and lawyers and accountants and I never had to worry about anything before. And then you're expected to skate this Olympic performance 13 shows a week without the training and without the sleep, you know, and giving interviews, and it was miserable. It was truly miserable.
Dorothy's post-Olympic life has often been difficult. 2 divorces, bankruptcy. But through it all, she relied on the simple solace of skating. Alone on the ice, the prima ballerina of her childhood fancy.
I still love it. I mean, I really love it. It's not about the jumping and the spinning. It's about the movement and you know, just what I fell in love with in the beginning, you know, on the pond.
Now 45 years old, she still skates for 2 hours every day.
It gets harder. Physically, it just gets harder. But, you know, it's still my therapy. I still go to get away from the telephones and go to the rink and work out the cobwebs and, you know, put on whatever kind of music I want. And it's a freedom. It's an outlet. It's lots of fun.
After nearly 40 years on skates, though, Dorothy will tell you that the defining role of her life is as a single mother, raising her 13-year-old daughter, Alex.
Motherhood is the greatest thing in the world. It's better than any Olympic gold medal. Truly, and truly it is. She's by far the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Becoming a mother was just a love that, you know, I never knew about. I mean, you don't know until you have your own children of that love. Nobody can tell you how deep it is, and you can never experience it until you do it yourself.
Peggy and Greg, now married for 31 years, have 2 sons and 1 grandson, 3-year-old Maya. Her primary connection to skating these days is as a television analyst. In January 1998, as she prepared to broadcast the U.S. Championships in Philadelphia, the site of her 5th and final national title, she discovered a lump in her breast. It was cancer. 1 month later, she had successful surgery, a day shy of 30 years since her golden night in Grenoble. Peggy lost her own mother to cancer in 1992, and 10 years later, she's gained much perspective on their relationship.
I think if I could tell her now that I was really listening, and maybe I didn't let her know that I was listening to all those good things that she was instilling in us, but I really was. I just didn't want to let her know that I was back then.
2 women, linked by humble beginnings, dedicated mothers, and a coach who guided them to Olympic gold, sparked the rebirth of figure skating in America. Each with her own style, distinct of each other, and unmatched since. Each winning a place in the hearts of America. A place that remains secure as they remain linked to their sport. Mature in motherhood, stars of yesteryear, who haven't just faded away.
What an incredible story about 2 women with one passion, with one goal in mind, to skate and to live their dreams. Maybe you like to live out your dreams too, becoming a skater wherever you want to be. Chase that dream, conquer it, and don't let anybody stop you. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Me matches, let's go love ports. Aye aye, Captain. Well, there are some porch pirates out there that are attacking not just attacking your porch, but also stealing your stuff. As you're about to see from these ring camera videos, one neighbor is speaking out. Take a look.
Are you waiting for your Christmas gifts to be delivered? So are porch pirates. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter in Corpus Christi. This holiday season, instead of being on the lookout for Santa, keep an even closer eye out for some Grinches trying to turn that ho 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 into a oh no no.
There wasn't a car in the
Oh,
driveway.
no,
It was
no.
like perfect access.
It was the perfect setup.
I've heard of it. I know that it happens. You know, we've never had porch pirates before.
Take a look at this video, recorded on neighbor Debbie Kelly's Ring camera. It looks like a mail carrier dropping off some packages. Notice anything strange about the video? Probably not. And neither did neighbors.
They had been following the mailman. Right after the mailman came, they pulled in the driveway and they just grabbed the packages and, you know, took off.
Debbie is a porch pirate victim.
What they were doing.
She's lived in her Bay Area neighborhood for 8 years and loves online shopping. But now her favorite hobby has turned into a chore.
We have packages all the time. I mean, now we like watch everything like a hawk. If they get something they like, they come back.
She reported the theft to police. Neighbor George Viata, who's also a porch pirate victim, says that's the best thing to do.
I ordered a package from Macy's, and it was delivered to my home, and it was probably stolen. And then those who steal them need to be arrested for that. That's theft.
Stealing packages is considered mail theft. If convicted, porch pirates could get up to a $4,000 fine and or a year of jail time.
You know, whenever more people are, you know, receiving packages at home, you know, sometimes those numbers do go up. And mail can be anything from a package, you know, from Amazon or UPS or FedEx.
Here's a map of some areas in Corpus Christi that porch pirates hit last December. And for victims like Debbie, packages aren't the only thing that they feel is taken from them.
You feel violated. Then I was kind of mad, like, look at that person just pulling in like they own the house, grabbing the packages and putting them in their car and leave.
So this holiday season, be proactive. Talk to your mail carrier and ask them to hide packages. Stay vigilant and always report anything you find suspicious. So don't let a Grinch steal your Christmas. Follow these tips and advice from your own neighbors so you don't become the next victim. With your neighborhood news in Corpus Christi, I'm Michaela Chavez, Christic Sunrise.
Those are some great tips. Also, you not just talk to your neighbors. Talk to UPS. Talk to the USPS. They can be very helpful. They can provide you with some tips and helpful information. That way, you won't become a victim of porch pirates. And if that ever happens to you, you need to feel free to install a Ring camera on your doorbell. That way you know what's going on. They steal it, save that footage, send it to the police, and they'll track that package, and they'll arrest that person. In this state, $4,000 fine and a year in prison. Like in California, for vandalism, a year in prison with a $10,000 fine. Okay. Now to something that I'm sure now I'm a principal at Robstown ISD. This is in Robstown. A principal. An assistant principal was arrested, accused of framing students at a former school. According to this description, the former Hamlin School assistant principal is accused of planting a vape pen on students while she was a school administrator in March of last year. I got some choice of words here, like, what the hell were you thinking? I'll give you my common sense after this report. Here's Josh Maxwell.
In a probable cause statement that was filed ahead of Amanda Lee Cordona's arrest, an investigator with the Nueces County Sheriff's Criminal.
With that latest, Josh?
Rudy Leslie, before I introduce you to this parent, let me get you caught up. This investigation, no doubt sensitive in nature as it relates to students who police believe were framed, and a high-ranking educator whose job it was to prepare them for the future. In a probable cause statement that was filed ahead of Amanda Lee Cordona's arrest, an investigator with the Nueces County Sheriff's Criminal Investigation Unit detailed the case. He said he was given an audio recording where you can hear Corona and CCISD police officer Andrew Gonzalez agreeing to put the vape pen in a student's backpack after finding it behind a filing cabinet. A parent I spoke with today says in a situation like this, there must be consequences.
That was my child to take action immediately. That ruins their reputation as a good student. You know, it doesn't make them look good at all.
3 News did reach out to both Corpus Christi and Robstown Independent School Districts for comment on the matter. CCISD saying that they responded swiftly to the initial investigation and will be deferring all future questions to lawmen. Robstown ISD responding with this statement saying Amanda Corona is currently on paid administrative leave as we conduct an investigation into a personal matter. As this involves personnel, we are unable to provide additional details at this time in accordance with legal requirements, end quote.
Hey, I have an idea, officer. Why don't you put this vape pen in a student's backpack and I'll try to frame her ass. Okay. Search the bag. What do we have here? A vape pen. You know where you're going when I'm missing? You going to jail. Take her away, officer. And then there's a secretly recorded hidden camera. This was audio taped. Now, had this been videotaped, that evidence would have been played before a board member, and the superintendent would have been involved, saying, "You know what? We need to drop the charges." So for this common sense look, I asked this principal,
The top for
because I'll tell you, there is more to this story. Take a look at this. There's second
sons.
I don't trust anyone, not even the educators, when I did before.
A mother's perspective completely changed.
When the teacher would call me and say whatever, I was quick to believe the teacher, the principal, the assistant principal.
Yvonne describing her shift in trust after the former assistant principal of Hamlin Middle School, Amanda Lee Corona, and CCISD police officer Andrew Gonzalez framed her son by putting a vape pen containing THC in his backpack. Information from the case affidavit obtained by 3 News reads that an investigator from the Nueces County Sheriff's Criminal Investigation Unit was called to Hamlin last year to look into the situation. He was then given an audio recording in which both Corona and the officer are audibly heard agreeing to put the pen in the student's bag. A key piece of evidence.
My son would have been charged. He would have had a felony on his record, and he was 12 years old.
In this same audio file provided to 3 News by Yvonne, you can hear the assistant principal suggesting to put the pen in her child's bag, asking the officer which one it was. 3 News spoke with fellow parent Archie Hooper, who was picking up his godson from school. He says that situations like these cannot be taken lightly, especially when students' futures are on the line.
That was my child to take action immediately. That ruins their reputation as a good student. You know, it doesn't make them look good at all.
CCISD and Robstown ISD did release statements regarding the situation. CCISD saying that they responded quickly to the initial investigation and that the campus officer has not been employed with the district since August of 2023. While Robstown ISD says Corona is on paid administrative leave as they conduct an investigation. Josh Maxwell, 3 News.
How can you be placed on administrative leave when you're being arrested? If you're arrested, you shouldn't be placed on administrative leave. You're automatically terminated at this point. And to this principal and officer, there is common sense need to be raised, and that is exactly what needs to be raised here. You and the officer should not be doing this. Your job as assistant principal is to help the child, not to frame. And as an officer, you need to know what the hell's going on. If you're employed by the school district, then okay. It does not matter. And to this assistant principal now sitting in jail and pleading a case, I hope you don't appeal. You need to realize your actions have consequences. Heck, I know one person who was a coach for years, who was his principal, and now she is the principal. I guarantee you, if she were to frame me, then she and I would not become friends no more. But believe me, you try to frame me, I'll have evidence of you framing me. And you try to watch the news from the... And you can sit there and say, I would never frame a student. I'm a goodie. I'm a good girl. I would never frame a student. Well, there's the audio tape right there. You want to change your story? You want to get cute with me? You want to tell me the truth? That's another $100 right there, girl. Yeah, go ahead and frame me. Try to frame me. I dare you. See, excuse me. I double dare you. You try to frame me, I will prove to you that you framed me. You and that officer. Your job as an assistant principal is to help students, not frame them and to get them to admit that it was theirs. Believe me, I should know what framing is. And everybody is saying, like, this is why parents have trust issues. This is why people who have authority should be watched more closely, and adults should listen to everything their kid has to say. Just because they are a cop doesn't mean you trust because it's a teacher. Doesn't mean you trust. As parents also do to ask their kids, what's going on in the day at school? I cannot wait for this family to see justice done and those who are supposed to be protecting instead of initially try to hurt a student. Third comment, there's a new one. It be police more. And one person's like, WTF. You know, there's also 10 comments. Jealousy and hate. No doubtful. Absolutely. It should be, how long did you like to be a friend teenager? Sheesh. If you were to frame my nephew, he were to tell me that he didn't do it. If I was standing next to his nephew, I saw it happening, I would not audio tape it. I'd videotape it. Share it with the media and say, hey, this is what they did. They framed my nephew. As an uncle, you have to realize what it's like to be a parent these days. And that's exactly what you gotta do. You gotta start realizing what it is to be a parent. And how to be there for your kids. Even if you're trying to be a father or a godfather. Or a godson. But what strikes me the most is that, you frame somebody, you say you didn't do it, but the evidence lies there. But then they suddenly change their answer and say, to get them to admit what's going on. So they just keep on denying it, saying, it never happened, I didn't do it. Look, they want to sit there and play the blame game all they want, that's their problem. But they were the ones that did it. Even if the parents had audio recording devices, the proof would be right here, would it? Absolutely. So if there were proof right here that there was audio tapes and audio evidence, like, where was the vape pen? If there was a picture of the vape pen, we would know what it is. But that's a key piece of evidence, that audio tape. But if there was one other piece of evidence like that vape, or if this confrontation was caught on videotape, it'd be a good piece of evidence to show to the court, not just news media, but to a jury. The jury would convict the teacher guilty, and then send her to jail and have her terminated immediately by the school board. So now the teacher's unpaid. Now the assistant principal is paid on administrative leave, and she's probably not going to be fired. So kudos to the Robstown School District for not doing a goddamn thing but placed her administrative leave after she was arrested. You don't do that. If they're put in jail, you fire them. There's common sense. If they're fired, if someone's in jail, you fire them. You don't suspend their jobs. You fire them immediately. Immediately. I'll be right back in just a moment. Stay with us. Question time. How would you feel about paying back your sister after she did a terrible thing to you, a terrible joke to you, like dyeing your hair red? So your sister dyes your hair, and you thought of a great revenge plan for your sister. How about putting a face sticker on your sister's car and her driving around? Well, Saucy TV did just that. It's tonight's foul break. You'll get to see the stickers that happened. And even then, you'll get to see the stickers and that little dent as the little sister reacts to prank and payback with 1.3 million views. This was on a YouTube short. But here's the full video. Sister goes ballistic after payback.
Can you not put me on film today? I'm not in a good mood.
I think it's gonna go down and it's gonna go bad. If Al Dente saying it's bad, this is bad. This is bad. What do you mean a new low? This is our magnum opus.
Today, we're giving our sister's car a well-deserved tune-up. She thought it was funny to dye our hair red, so let's see how fun she thinks this is.
This is it right here.
That's what you're worried about?
I know it's small, but it drives me crazy, and it's the only thing that's bothering me about it.
Alright, whatever.
Can you not put me on film today? I'm not in a good mood. Don't do that.
I promise you won't see it anymore.
Okay, I said no film. Mom and I are going shopping, so I'll see you later.
Alright, go have fun.
Thank you. Not recording me.
What'd she say?
She knows I'm taking it to get the chip fixed. I don't think she's gonna be too happy by seeing what you guys plan on doing to her.
No, she's gonna love it.
I think it's gonna go down and it's gonna go bad.
If it goes bad, you are absolved of
If
any
it goes bad, my
responsibility.
name does not come up.
You are not mentioned. You had nothing to do with this as far as we're
Fine.
concerned.
As long as that's the case, I'm okay with it.
Relax. She's gonna love this. I promise. Yeah, it's a lot of effort. She has a good sense of humor.
Yeah. This is too much.
We're so
my God.
Oh,
bad.
if Al Dente saying it's bad, this is bad. This is bad. I think this is my favorite thing that I've ever done. I didn't know if you guys knew this, but Linda isn't gonna think this is funny. She might attack us.
All joking aside, she's gonna kick your ass.
If she could catch us. I'm so scared. I might have exaggerated Linda thinking this is funny to get us to this point. This is her prized possession, but we're not backing out, right?
There's no backing out now.
I hope she hates it. Do you not remember what she did to us at Madison Square Garden? You guys don't understand how feral she's gonna get.
Yeah, I know how feral she's gonna get, and we only have 5 minutes because she's on her way home right now.
Get the tart. Put it on the car now. I'm so scared, but I'm so happy.
Are you ready?
I think I am. It's showtime.
There here.
What are you doing in my car? Get away from my car. Are you serious?
We want to give you an upgrade. Now you have this saucy one. Your car was pretty boring before, so we gave it some pizzazz. Ready?
Are you serious?
You don't like it?
Dude, I worked so hard for this. This is what the would you do this? Get the out of my face. Are you smart?
What? You don't like it?
Are you serious right
Wait,
now?
what did you guys do?
This is not funny at all. Are you serious?
I
Why are you standing there like that? Are you serious? Get the off.
You guys went.
Why would you let this happen?
I wasn't even here.
Really? Take it off.
It doesn't
It doesn't come off.
I can't believe
That's
you
not
guys
even.
did this.
You guys have to be. Marco?
It can only come off if we pay like
Why would you
100
do
grand.
this? I don't even understand.
What do you mean? It looks so much better now.
Linda, do you remember that time at Madison Square Garden where you
Dude, this
ruined
is
my
too
life?
far. This is too far.
You
That's
embarrassed
washed
us in-
out of your hair. This is my car.
Embarrassed us in front of 25,000
Stop.
people.
Get that out of my face.
I think you guys took this one too far. You guys are out of control. I don't want to hear another word about it. It's not that bad. If you're
This isn't even.
Hold on, but look at the one on the front. At least everyone will know that we're your brothers.
I hate both of you.
Oh, what the hell?
Here, are you serious? This car literally is like everything to me. I take such good
The
care of
value
it.
of it just went up.
Get it off.
Wait.
Marco, get
Hold
it
on.
off.
Would you believe that there's no filter on this? Mom, you're standing here watching her chase us.
Get this shit off my car. I think that this is a new low for the two of you.
Alright, what do you mean a new low? This is our magnum
This
opus.
isn't funny! If you chip my paint, I swear to God you guys are gonna pay for this. You think this is funny for a video? I'll take a shovel to this stupid thing.
Alright, calm down. Chill out. Wait 1 second, dude. We have to go for a ride.
Stop!
Alright. Time to go for a ride in the car.
Oh God. I'm out of here. I literally have to take my car to Madison. She left her license in my wallet and she has an appointment to get her passport expedited. Now I have to drive in that. I'm not taking my car.
It's called driving in style.
Where are the keys? Are you serious?
What happened?
You got rid of all the car keys?
How did that happen?
Marco, it's not even funny. You only left me my keys. I'm taking your Tesla. I'm taking your car.
We'll all go for a ride.
I don't want to drive in that with your dumb ass on my
Keys went missing.
Marco.
Mom, I love you.
What's going on?
Nothing. Mom, you like the car, right?
All I hear is like yelling from outside. What's happening? What's happening? Are you serious? I mean, I see what's happening. You're gonna pay for this so bad.
Later. We're going ahead.
So glad that I can see every single person looking.
Alright, follow him.
I'm driving in silence because that's how I feel.
Well, that wasn't very silent to me.
Can we go through a drive-through? Or Cal, shut the up, please.
So was Linda's reaction? I expected nothing different. And you know what the funny part is? Right now, she thinks I had nothing to do with it. When she sees that you were the one who applied it to her car. You're a good bullshit artist. You had me second guessing whether or not you helped us. Can it come off her car though? Like, what's actually gonna happen? I didn't look into it that far. Are you serious? I'm sure we'll get it off.
It was her idea.
You knew about this before.
Linda, I did you a favor. I recorded everything so you had the evidence.
She helped us design the stickers. Isn't that cool?
Like how you're doomed.
She already knew. Oh my God, are you the sister? Are you the sister from Saucy TV? You called down sister? Damn, that's one hot ride.
We need to get some people's attention.
Can you stop? That's not even funny.
Hi!
Oh, it's Marco.
Oh, Pierre's like being held hostage. Pierre's a brave soldier for going in that vehicle with them. Right now it's a POW.
I'm grateful that you didn't put any of my boyfriend's heads on here.
Linda, they didn't want to completely rob us with the entire St. John's basketball team on the side of the car.
Pause.
We just looked it up. It's permanent. But if you save up for 12 months, you get a new car.
Marco, I swear to God.
Do you guys like the stickers?
I like the stickers.
Thank you.
See, the people like them. I told you.
My brothers did this to me.
You like the stickers? Woo!
After an hour, that's supposed to stick on, permanently. Are you serious? Might have to bring it to an auto body shop to have it. Oh my God. We can try, but I don't know. This is it.
I am not pulling up to her house like this. I'm parking here and
What? No, we already told her. She's expecting you.
Marco, I hate
We didn't spoil the surprise. Come on, just be a good sport. Yo.
What the
Do you like it?
I love it.
Isn't it so funny?
Kidding me? Do people like say things or do
Yes,
anything?
of course. We got so many people opening their windows.
Wallet.
Stop.
Did you know this was happening?
No. I thought my dad was fixing a little speck of paint missing.
put that on all your stories on every app.
Do you want to take a ride?
Shut up. Yeah.
Linda, why don't you take her for a ride up the street?
I'm not doing this right now.
You have to let it cure for at least 3 days.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Marco, I swear, get the away from me before I beat the out of you.
Okay.
Well, Linda, have you learned your lesson? Maybe next time don't mess with them. It could have been a lot worse.
Please, I'll get you back. What did you guys do?
What?
Linda is gonna you guys.
Well, she already saw it.
She already saw it, and she's okay with this? Where
Yeah,
did
she
you
loved
get
it.
this from? Where?
What is it? We have extras. They're for your car,
No,
too.
if you go anywhere near my car,
We're putting on your car tonight.
that's not even funny. I'm leaving.
Did you see your car yet? Did you see your car yet?
You made me think, like, yeah, try taking pictures of me. If you were to decorate a picture of my face on your car, you'll be like, I may be famous in Flower Bluff. I'm gonna friggin' jump on a trampoline. If I see a picture of me on a car, I'm gonna jump on a trampoline over the roof, over the fence, and fly to work. No. If I saw someone a picture of me on a car, I would be like, a lot of people look at me going, that's the guy that plays the guitar. If I had a driver's license, I would do that shit to my car. Now people know who I am. In the Carmen Mobile. When I had my brother's car, he whooped my ass. My mom's car, same thing. She whooped my ass. My dad's car. We'll see you again for Game Break Saturday night. Follow us here at YouTube and Game Break. Stop Boy and Speak Out Constipation, not just train. That's all for this edition of Game Break Friday going to Saturday. Have a good night.